Sarah Jo here with another tutorial on how to sew double fold binding, but this time for mid to heavyweight binding fabric. The supplies you'll need include your main fabric. I'm doing this tutorial on a rectangular piece of fabric, but this binding method works great on necklines and armholes. You'll need your binding. I'm using a rib knit. This method can be done on a variety of different fabric weights, but I typically use it for mid to heavyweight bindings. Thread matching your binding color is recommended, but for the sake of this tutorial, I'm using a contrasting color so you can see it better. You'll also need pins, an ironing board, and an iron. To begin, fold the binding into thirds. One of the raw edges will be completely encased and the other will meet along the fold. Since the fabric is the same on both sides, I labeled them right and wrong. Start with the right side facing up. To attach the binding, start by unfolding the binding. Match one of the raw edges along the raw edge of the fabric you're attaching it to. The right side of the binding will be against the right side of the fabric. Sew along the crease closest to the raw edge. Since I'm sewing with knits, I also suggest using either a zigzag stitch or a lightning bolt stitch. Fold the binding along the seam. Flip the fabric over so the wrong side is facing up. Fold the binding over the raw edge, ensuring the stitching is covered by the raw edge of the binding. Pin the binding in place on the right side of the fabric, placing the pins parallel to the binding. The pin should go through the seam and the raw edge of the binding. Sew along the pinned edge, staying as close to the fold as possible. The right side of the fabric should be up while sewing. For this step, I'm using a lightning bolt stitch since it's thinner and looks more like top stitching, but it still has stretch. A zigzag stitch works great too. You can see my stitching line, but if you're using a thread similar in color to the binding fabric, it will barely be noticeable. And that's how you sew a double fold binding on mid to heavyweight fabric. Happy sewing!